Hey, what up everyone, this is Mondo Day back with another video, and in this video I'll be showing you my build guide for Spider-Man. I'll be going over which artifacts I use, which uniques I use, which insignia and ring I use, as well as go over where I place my power points, my omegas, and hero synergies, and of course at the very end I'll be showing you my rotations and kind of give you some pointers and tips on how to play with Spider-Man, and kind of give you guys advice as far as how I was able to pass the Cosmic Trial with using around 3,000 omegas. I believe, and I'll be honest, I used just over 3,000 omegas. I'm not too sure. I want to say I did over 3,000. I did use over 3,000. I'm not too sure. But again, this is my build guide for Spider-Man, and then I'll be going over some tips and kind of advice as far as how to play with him and so forth. So let's get right into it. So the artifacts I used, the first one is Ultra by level Concussion Projector. Might not be the best artifact to use for Spider-Man, to be completely honest with you. I'm using it just for the brutal damage rating. Again, this might be the best. If I would definitely replace this with possibly Crossbones. This one right here. I'll just show you which one. I'll probably replace it with something like this, Crossbones Teaching Credentials, because this the Crossbones Teaching Credentials, it gives you damage to melee and range attacks, and so again, I would probably replace this one with that, but nonetheless this does help out regardless, so it did its job. Next I use Taskmaster's Fighting for Loser's Guide. I'm using this for the damage rating, defense rating, deflect rating, dodge, critical hit rating to melee and range powers, and also also base damage to bosses. So that's very useful. This whole artifact would be perfect for him, because with this build I am using both range and melee, so it'll be perfect for Spider-Man. Now for the medallion, I'm using Green Rapier Medallion for the Brutal Strike rating, gain and regenerate health when you defeat an enemy, but more importantly for the physical damage rating and brutal damage rating. Then I'm using Advanced Crimson of Crystal of Cataract for the physical damage rating and for the health. Then I'm using Mayhem Demon Blood for the health, damage rating to melee attacks, and also 2 for the 10 stacks. You gain 2 fighting and 2 speed. Now for these uniques, I use all of his uniques. You don't really have to, but I use all of his uniques. You can replace some of his uniques with something else, and I probably would advise that, but if you don't have those special uniques, that's fine. His uniques would be perfect for this build. For the Industrial City Ring, for the ring I use Industrial City Ring. I'm using this for the critical hit rating, attack speed, and critical damage rating for all physical powers and attacks. For the costume, grade 1 through 4, I have a critical damage rating, and for the core, I have it to where I gain 400 health when you hit an enemy, and +1 strength in fighting. For the insignia, I will say that this is not the best insignia. It does its job, but I would definitely not use this insignia for him, because it does help out, but it's not the greatest. This insignia, when you hit with a power, your allies gain 383 area damage. Again, it's useful, but if it were me, I would possibly get an insignia to where I gain critical damage rating, or damage rating to physical attacks, or defense rating, or something like that. But again, this is not the best insignia, but it does its job. For the pet, I have it to where I get 1% less damage from all attacks, 3% move speed, 2% critical damage, +1 rank to signature powers, and then +3 durability. I definitely wanted that durability because he is a bit weak, and I'll explain to you a little later when I go to the my rotation, but he is a bit weak. Then I'm using 800 defense rating, forged, and then I have it blessed to where I gain +1 durability, 400 defense rating, and 400 health. And for legendary, I'm using Savage Axe. I'm using this because this is very useful for him, since this is a melee and range build. This legendary would be perfect for him because it benefits ranks 1 through 4 for any of his powers. So that's that. For the powers, I'm using 1 for Spider Strike, maxed out Arachne Assault, maxed out Web Spray, maxed out Spider Sense, that's a passive, maxed out Spider Slam, and maxed out Evasive Web Swing, maxed out Signature, Leaping Assault, and then Spider DNA, max it out, and then I got it to where I have it set for jumping spider. And I'll elaborate what this does a little later. For Omegas, again, I use over 3,000. A little over, actually over 3,000. I try to do under 3,000. I could not pass it with Cosmic Trial. I tried just over 3,000. I think like 20 or 40 Omegas over, and I still couldn't do it. So I had to use a little more. So you can see here. So rather show you and be honest. So Neural Enhancement, nothing. Arcane Attunement, nothing. Initial Exploration, 1 for Earth for the base damage increase, 1 for Hela for the damage rating, brutal strike rating, and critical hit rating to physical powers, and then Sakar for the deflect rating and melee damage increase. Special weapons, nothing. Mutation, 3 to Warpath for the fighting, 1 for Frenzy for when you hit the melee power, you gain critical damage rating. Radiact Origins, as I said before, I usually pick these 3 for any melee player or character, so I don't want to go over it, but I'm sure you can look at other videos and kind of see why. Nanotechnology for Spin Tech for the damage rating to bosses. Human Augmentation, 1 for Deathlock Program for the physical damage rating, and then Reaver Program for the base.
I gotta see a guy about a thing.
Base physical damage. Psionics, 3 for Melt Face for the brutal damage rating, 1 for Focus Strength of Groom for the +7 strength. Molecular Adjustment, 1 for Terragenesis for the +1 durability, speed, and strength. And that's all. Hero Synergies, Cable, critical hit rating. Dr. Doom for the signature increase damage. Hawkeye for the move speed and critical damage. Luke Cage for the total defense and physical damage rating. Moon Knight for the critical rating to physical powers. Nightcrawler for the melee damage. Spiderman for the total dodge rating. Squirrel Girl for the damage to bosses. War Machine for the spirit +1 fighting, and Wolverine for the brutal strike and brutal damage rating. Now let's get into the fun stuff. Now for this build, again, it's very simple rotation. For the team up, I am using Spider-Gwen. For this rotation, is pretty simple. Now, before I kind of go into the rotation, how I play with them, I would say think of Spider-Man. The game style you want to play is like this. You want to go into the enemy's territory per se and do a lot of damage and then move away. So again, go in, do damage, and then move away, and then go inside again and do damage. That's kind of like the game style you want to play with Spider-Man. And as I said, I'm using, for the pet, I have a +3 durabilities because he is a bit weak. I mean, his total defense is 44. Again, it's not the best, and he can be weak, but he does do quite a bit of damage. So with that said, my advice would be is when playing with Spider-Man, the game style you kind of want to play is do damage going in and then move away and then go back in. And that's kind of how I set it up. So I have it set up to where, well, I'll go over the powers, how I have them placed. I have Spider Strike, Web Spray, Arachnid Assault, Leaping Assault, Evasive Web Sling, and Spider Slam, and then Signature. And then I'm using the Web Swinging. And I'll explain why I'm using this. So the first thing I usually do is this is my first, I guess you can say my first rotation is this. I use Leaping Assault because it kind of brings you into enemy's territory, and then since I'm in there, right away I use Arachnid Assault. That way I do melee damage and I do damage to any enemies around. So it looks something like this. See? So I went in, did damage, and then moved away. Okay, I guess you can say that's my first rotation. My second rotation is incorporating these two. Now, I don't remember how I had it set up on Cosmic Trial. I think I might have had it to where Spider Slam was first, and then Evasive Web Swing. Either or is perfectly fine. But the way you want to use these two is Evasive Web Swing and then Spider Slam together within a few seconds is because with Spider DNA and choosing Jumping Spider specialization, what this does is when you use any of these two, Web Sling and Slam, within, let's say, 5 seconds of each, you gain an extra damage. So for instance, if I use a web sling first, if I use Spider Slam within 5 seconds or something like that, web swing, Spider Slam does 500 increased damage. See what I mean? So it looks something like this. So I'm going to use web sling first and then Spider Slam. Okay, you see there's a cooldown now. That's how you know that you activated that specialization, which is this one right here. Because if you read it, I don't want to read it, but if you read it, it increases your damage. Now, if you watch my Cosmic Trial video, you notice that I usually do it twice. I usually do web sling twice and then do slam. That's because, again, this is just something that I personally do, but in the past I've noticed that I'll be playing and then I used to do one web sling and then slam, but sometimes it wouldn't activate that specialization, which means it didn't get the full damage. So hence why I use twice. I do twice just to make sure I get the full thing. See that right there, 2 million? So that's kind of my second rotation. Now how do I incorporate that to my first one? Simple. And it goes back to what I said. You want to go in, do damage, and then step out. So it looks something like this, incorporating the first rotation and second. So which is assault, Arachne assault, swing twice, and then slam. See what I did there? And it goes back to what I mentioned. I'll let it cool down. You go in, do damage, move away, go in again. It's just like exactly what I said. You want to go in, do damage, go away. Go in, do damage, go away. Now, going with those 2 rotations, how do you incorporate that with the signature? The same exact thing. And it kind of goes back to what I illustrated, which Leaping Assault brings me to the enemy's territory, do a lot of damage with Arachne Assault, move away with Evasive Web Sling, go back in with Spider Slam, and since you're in there, do your signature, get the full damage, and then use Web Swinging. Now, I'm using Web Swinging as opposed to Amazing Acrobats is because even though these are good, don't get me wrong, but they don't make me, I don't really move a lot. And then if you're playing with him,
admit it, you just wanted the attention.
Not only does it move away, but he uses spirit. So I use Web Swinging. 1, doesn't cost me any spirit, and 2, it moves a lot. So when I'm playing with him, see that? And it doesn't use any spirit at all. And I'm saying that because he does use up a lot of spirit. And so incorporating the first rotation, which is Assault, Arachne Assault, and second rotation, which is a basic Web Sling twice with Spider Slam after, and then now I'm going to incorporate signature. So it looks something like this. Okay. You should notice how it went in, and then moved out, and then moved in again, and then moved out. Okay. Now, when do I incorporate Web Spray and then Spider Strike? Simple. Whenever all my moves are in cooldown, just use Web Spray. And then if you have to recover spirits, and all you use is use Spider Strike because it restores the spirit. So again, I'm gonna incorporate rotation 1 and 2 with the signature, and then I'm also going to show how I use Web Spray and then go from there. Move, signature, then swing. First rotation's ready. Then again, we're doing assault, slam, do that, and then do the rotation again. So look at my spirit is going low, and then you can use Spider Strike against spirit, and then activate that. Now the cool thing, and I'll say this right now too, the cool thing with the signature is that it rebuilds and replenishes your 50% of your spirit. Look at my spirit. I'm using signature right now. save that increase. So I say that so that way you know too that when you use your signature, it's going to regain 50% of your spirit. That's not really too much important, but just kind of take note of that. And that's really my rotation. That's usually how I play with Spider-Man. Again, you want to go in, do a lot of damage, and step out. Hence why I used evasive web swing twice to move, and then that's why, if you notice, I use that. If you see my Cosmic Trial video, I'm doing that. I'm moving in, and I'm like moving away far and come back for that reason. Also, too, with Amazing Smash, which is a signature, it brings in enemies towards you. So keep that in mind, because it's kind of going back to what I mentioned about Spider-Man. You want to go in, do a lot of damage, go out. That's what it does. It brings in your enemies, and then if you use Arachnid Assault, since all of your enemies are here, you can just do a massive damage, area damage. And that's really it. That's usually my rotation with Spider-Man. I know might not be the best. It's pretty easy and simple. But again, I mean, with this rotation, I was able to pass Cosmic Trial using just over 3,000 Omegas with decent artifacts and uniques. I mean, if I were me, I would definitely change some. Maybe change Ultra Beam, Concussion Projector. Maybe change some of his uniques for something else. But, oh yeah, definitely Insignia, replace that for something else. And possibly change some stuff here. But that is it. This is my build guide for Spider-Man. It's pretty simple, straightforward. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. If you like what you see, you want to see more, please hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to me and does help out the channel a lot. And that is it. Again, any questions, please leave it in the comment section below. Any requests for certain characters, again, please leave it in the comment section below. Alrighty, thanks.